Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
So, are we going to need to screen share or anything like that?
Yeah, I've got a PowerPoint set up for it.
Okay.
Want me to try to share it now and see if it shows up for you?
Yeah, what I've had to do in the past, and maybe I just don't know what I'm doing, which is highly likely, is make you the host
Okay.
so that you can share your screen. But if you know a different way to do that, I'm open for it.
No, it looks like when I click share, it says host disabled attendee screen sharing. So that's probably.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, let me. If I make you the host, the only condition is you have to watch the participant screen and let people in as they come in.
Got it.
But let's see. Wrong button. Okay, so I made you the host. You should get an invitation there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And desktop. Okay.
No, there you go.
Did it show up for you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Okay. Good.
Bright and nice. I like that.
Good. Now figure out where the Zoom screen went.
Learning all this new technology on the fly, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. Stop. Stop share. Okay.
Oh, did you turn it
And then
off?
it went away. Went away, right?
It did.
Okay.
Was it supposed to?
Yes, I canceled out because I'm not sure how well I can see people coming into the meeting while the presentation is up.
Okay.
So I want to make sure
Yeah, if you click down, you know where the participation
Here.
bar is? No, it's not. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so sometimes most of the time, these go super smoothly, and people are becoming so familiar with Zoom that everybody kind of knows what they're doing. But every once in a while, you figure there's a glitch or something.
Yeah.
Some way of doing the thing that I don't know.
So I think I set the setting back that will let me share as an attendee. So I'm going to make you the host again, and let's see if that works real quick. That way, if someone does join a little late while I have the presentation going, I don't miss someone.
Oh,
so
go
I'm
one
making
or
you,
the other, right? Okay.
So I made you the host.
Okay. So I'm the host now. I can see that.
Okay. Now let me see if I can share it now.
Okay.
Okay, I just tried sharing.
All right. Yeah, it's up.
Okay.
Well, how did you do that so I can tell other people?
So hold on just a second. Let me stop sharing for a second. Down at the bottom of your Zoom window, there should be a security icon when you're the host.
Right.
And there's one that has a check mark right now next to allow attendees to share. It didn't have that checked.
I see.
So once you made me the host, I went to the security icon. So you could do that as host. You wouldn't even have to switch it over and then switch back. If you came into a meeting and the attendee can't share and you want them to, you could click
I'm just allowing the participant to share their screen. Okay.
Correct. Yep. And in that way, you guys can watch the, the waiting room to let people in, and then the attendee can share from their computer and stuff. So.
Okay. Awesome. I noticed that you had, excuse me, you had posted on your own Facebook page that you were going to be doing this. I appreciate that. Sometimes people forget to do that themselves, and we have a lot of people that watch our stuff, but it's better if we can multiply it by, you guys doing it too.
Yeah. Plus with the algorithms, you never know how many people are actually seeing your stuff. So it's like, it helps to get that extra traction. So.
I like to believe that there's millions.
Right. You got to be optimistic, right?
That's right. Think big.
So how you been? Doing okay?
Yeah, doing okay. As far as me and family, we're all doing well, and kind of getting back out there a little bit, but still cautious. I have a son who is battling cancer, and so we have to be extremely, health-minded because of him.
Right.
And then there's me, and I'm old, so there's that. But as far as the standard goes, we're doing okay. We're still working remotely. Starting next week, I think I'm going to open the office to some part-time hours, and then just keep it so that people have to come in by invitation rather than just drop in. We have people wandering in and out of there all the time, and I'd feel a little more comfortable if we were, know that.
Yeah, scheduling them in instead of wandering in.
Yeah, exactly.
Farmers market seems to be going well.
The what?
Farmers market seems to be going well.
Yes, but it really has. Our systems and processes have worked well, and so the vendors seem to be happy. But excuse me, I think that there is still a strong need and want for a traditional piece of the market. So that's what we're working on is, let me admit somebody here, is building a second piece to that, a very monitored, what I want to say, health-minded walkthrough part.
Right.
Okay, so we have a Melanie Fuller on. She's muted right now.
Hello.
Oh, good morning. You're not muted. Jeremy, how long do you think your presentation will be?
35, 40 minutes.
Okay, perfect.
I sometimes talk fast.
That, the ones that are between 30 and 45 seem to be the best. About 45 minutes, people start dropping off.
Yeah, okay.
So, unless there's questions and that kind of thing, of course.
Right.
And then let me ask you this also. Would you prefer that we take questions through the chat bot, or would you prefer to just do live and people can just ask a question, or you can say, hey, are there any questions?
I'm good with either. People are welcome to jump in or do it through chat as a moderator. I'm really flexible with either. And at the end, okay, I have the traditional, any questions before we wrap up type thing too. But I'm really pretty flexible.
Okay, so a little of both. Okay.
Yeah. If you have something that works better though, that just from your experience with them, I'm happy to adapt to, hold questions till the end, or I have 3 sections, so we can do maybe questions after each section.
Oh, okay. That'd be perfect. Maybe
okay.
We'll tell people that when I open it up.
Yeah.
And then don't forget, this is recorded.
Yes.
And so it will be available to people on our through our website and our social media pages, and it's on our YouTube page.
Great.
I feel so fancy when I say we have a YouTube page.
I know, right?
Has your beautiful model daughter. She's
doing good.
Style.
Yeah. Have you seen her blue hair yet?
I have not.
She dyed her hair blue. So she has bright blue hair. It looks really cool, but she did that a couple of weeks ago. When she realized she wasn't going back to school for sure, she dyed it blue.
Were the schools putting restrictions on those?
No, just to make sure in case it turned out terrible, she didn't have to put up with kids giving her a hard time there.
Gotcha. But where does she go to school?
Jackson Middle.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, she's doing well.
Good for her. Is that her interest, career-wise, is modeling, or just something she does with you?
She just does it with me.
Yeah.
She likes art. She likes to be the model for me. She assists on some of my photo shoots. She's great at holding light stands and lights and stuff like that for me.
That's
she
cool.
wavers between artistry and veterinarian. She has interest in being a veterinarian, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so for art, what would her field be?
She does a lot of painting, and she's recently gotten into digital art. So she has a touchscreen laptop, and she has some programs to do some artwork in there. So she's been doing a lot of digital art type stuff these days.
Wow, that's neat.
So
I admire people who are artsy minded. I have a granddaughter who's a classical violinist, and I just listen to her and I'm just blown away. And I just don't have those gifts at all.
Yeah.
All right, so what else we got coming in here? The nice thing about having these recorded is because we're right at 10 o'clock, we're still missing quite a few people. There's one more. Is that people can see it later in its entirety, and they will at their convenience.
Yeah. No, that's nice. I know there's sometimes I sign up for one and I don't make it because something else came up in the meantime and things
Absolutely.
like that. So it's nice to be able to catch them recorded and stuff.
Yeah. We've got a couple more coming in, so.
And you do see the slide now, right, John?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well. Actually, I don't. I saw it look like it was coming up, but then it didn't.
Okay.
All right, we've got, there we go. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me okay. This is Sean. I'm the director of the Grove City Area Chamber of Commerce, and we've been having so much fun with these Zoom recordings and Zoom meetings. We've had all kinds of interesting subjects and topics. I would throw out there, if you're watching this morning, or if you watch later on at our YouTube page or any of our social media pages, and you see one of these and think, hey, I can do that. I've got something interesting to share. We'd love to have you join us and be a participant here and host one of these. So this morning we are excited. We have Jeffrey Tadlock here from Tadlock Photography, and he does some of the coolest stuff, and he's very Grove City minded, so much so that we brought him in to do the cover for our new directory, which will be actually in my office next week. We're very excited about that. So Jeffrey is going to talk a little bit about using photography wisely and with some skill to better your business. And I'm guessing maybe your social media business is part of that. So welcome, everybody. If you have questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat bot, or we'll be asking throughout the presentation if you have questions, and you can ask at any time. So with that, I welcome and thank you for being here. Jeffrey, good morning.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate the introduction. Yes, we're going to talk about better photos for your business today. I appreciate the Chamber for letting me come on and speak a little bit about that. And by business, I do mean social media. I mean print materials, websites, anything like that where imagery might help your business in some form of advertising or even decoration within the office or retail space. First, I want to make sure everyone can see my presentation is shared correctly. Should see a screen that says better photos for your business. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I had myself muted there, Jeffrey. Yeah, it looks
Nope.
great. We can see it.
Great.
Fine.
So again, Sean introduced me. My name is Jeffrey Tadlock. I'm a professional photographer based in Grove City. You can find me on the internet at jeffreytadlockphotography.com for my website, or on Facebook at Jeffrey Tadlock Photography is my business page. Welcome to look me up there. Talks a little bit about my services and things. Like Sean said, you've probably seen some of my work out there. This is just an example of some of the stuff I've done. A lot of this has been done with the Visit Grove City. The recent annual adventure guide there on the left was a photo shoot we did last summer, set up to get pictures of Aaron Hobgood out at the Grove City Skate Park. Worked with a couple different parties on that to get that done. We did a photo shoot out at Trapper John's on the Big Derby. Had great group of people out for that. We actually kayaked down the river with a lot of expensive camera equipment, which is unnerving when they're telling you don't even carry your cell phone, but got a lot of great shots from there. And then there's just a couple more. There's John Mannering. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he does a lot of local wood crafting, does some awards for Buddy Ball and the Visit Grove City annual awards. He does the award trophies for that. He makes pens, very interesting person. So those are just a couple, and I've got the chamber president down there at the bottom, Wayne Coakley, for a headshot I did for him a while back. So those are some of my things you've probably seen around town. Today's topic, we're going to talk about three major areas: why quality images matter for your business, how you can take better photos with your cell phone or your point and shoot camera so that you have those images to use for your business. And then finally, since everyone is using video calls and much more greatly these days, just a couple tips for good looking Zoom calls and how to have a successful Zoom call and make sure you look your best for your customers. So we'll dive into why quality images matter. People remember only 10% of the information 3 days after hearing it, but on average, adding a picture can improve recall to 65%. So if you want people to remember your message, pairing it with an image to go with it will help people remember what you're trying to convey to them. So that's one reason why good images to stand out above the crowd are helpful. Marketers rank images as the most important content type ahead of text and video. That was from a 2018 survey. I think in terms of obviously print and website, I think imagery is still important. Social media though, I think video is becoming more important to make sure you have some video content out there. It doesn't remove the need for quality images, but I do think video is rising since that survey was done. So it is another important note to keep in mind, especially with all the video conferencing calls that are happening these days. And how many photos are taken per day in 2020? The number of images taken with people with phones and cameras in their pocket and everything like that, it's growing all the time. This year, according to Key Point Intelligence, 3.9 billion photos are taken per day in 2020. That's just a tremendous amount. Obviously, not all of those are used for business. Some of that's us taking pictures of our cats, taking pictures of our kids or dogs, random things, but that's just a tremendous amount of imagery that's out there. And because of that, that's why your images have to stand out from the crowd. The competition to get your customers gaze to stay on your website, stay on your social media post, to stay on that brochure you've sent out. It's got to stand out from the crowd because there are so many images out there. And that's why you want to make sure you have quality images for your business and your advertising. Areas where that happens is business branding. You want to make sure your images represent your brand. You know, signage, what are you all about? Sometimes brand is not the sign. Sometimes it's just what you do. Maybe you help people outside of business, or you use your business profit to put back into the community. Make sure you're getting images that represent that brand and help show that. That gives you that relationship to your customer to make them more likely to come to you, as opposed to a business that's only advertising the what they do instead of the real depth behind it. The other thing with business branding, you want to make sure you show your people and equipment. I'm going to touch a little bit about stock photography in a little bit, but it's real easy to go snag some free images off the internet, slap them up on your website, but it's not building relationships to your people and equipment. If you're a service person with, you know, a truck with signage on it, put pictures of it up on your site. So when people see it around town, you start to get those multiple connections to make people remember you. And that's where it's important to make sure images are of you, your business, your people, so you get that recognition within the community and within your customer area. Product photography, if you're more of a retail focused business, you want to make sure your product photography stands out from the crowd to be noticed. Catalog images are great and are great for online, you know, to see what you're getting, but you want something that stands out, looks just a little different, gets people to their gaze to linger just a bit, and maybe a stylized product shot like this for the honey house, where, you know, it's not a traditional catalog shot, but it's a high quality shot that gets people, whoa, what is that? It just gives them that pause. Maybe they'll read your text and keep moving from there. If you have a retail space, making sure you present your retail space in a positive quality manner is important. You probably want more than just an iPhone photo for that to show off the space. Make sure you have the lighting right, make sure you have the colors right, and everything like that. Those high quality images will compel people, help draw them into your retail space just from the quality of the image itself. A hasty, off-centered iPhone shot, yes, it shows your space, but it's just not setting you above everyone else that's out there to help draw people into your space. Event photography, this is a big one that gets overlooked a lot. If you're an organization that puts on events, whether it be for your customers or socials or fundraisers or anything like that, or something you're involved with sponsoring, you put a lot of money, you put a lot of time into those events to get people there. Make sure you have someone there getting quality imagery for you so that you can use it in marketing after the event. You've put all that time and money into it. Make sure you can show that off afterwards through quality imagery. One of the advantages of having a dedicated photographer for something like that is if you're trying to do it yourself or have a volunteer doing it, they're distracted by other things, people they know, people they see. Whereas if you have someone capturing the event completely, they're able to focus on getting those images for you. So it's an area to make sure you get, just because you can maximize the investment into that event by having images to share afterwards to show people. And it might help draw people into future events to increase your attendance in the future. Finally, wrap up with some headshot photography. Headshots are still around. Keep them updated. Styles change. Old headshots become dated. Clothing styles change. Even style of headshots change. Sometimes it's more of a studio look that's in. Sometimes it's more of an environmental look. And sometimes you want to match the look to your brand. Maybe you want a more formalized look, or maybe you want more of an environmental look, like shot in the downtown Grove City or something like that, to sort of show the town and the roots, or maybe within your store or facility or office or something like that. And essentially, if people can't recognize you in real life from your headshot, it's time to update it. A lot of people get that one, it looks great, but it's like if it's old and people can't recognize you on the street, that's what you want your headshot to do. You want it to help be that first contact to build that relationship, that recognition. So keep those headshots updated. I mentioned I'd talk a little bit about stock photography. There's plenty of places you can go download free images for use to put on your website. And sometimes in a pinch, it's what you need to do. Here's an example of a couple. Technically, they're great photos. You know, I can't critique, especially those 3 towards the right side of the image. Technically, those are great photos, but they're generic, and they're not showing your business. They're not showing your people, and there's a little bit of fakeness to them, and people can pick up on that. There's been some studies done on stock photography versus authentic photography. When a recognizable image was used, visitors were 35% more likely to convert. So if you're using genuine photos on your site, your brochure, you're more likely to hold their attention a little bit longer, to get them to read what you're about, to read what problem you're going to solve for them, and help convert them into an actual customer. So it's a great way to increase those conversions using photography of your spots. Several marketing experiments have shown that people notice original imagery more than stock. Again, another case where those are the things that stick out. Earlier, we mentioned if you use images, people are 65% more likely to remember the message later. Original imagery also helps with that. And finally, this is just a case where a business had a 3-fold increase in ad click-through when they use actual, in this case, user-generated, not even professional photographer-generated, but user-generated photos wearing the product where it was used. So instead of a catalog style image, it was the article you're selling in actual use, led to higher conversion. So just to recap the stock and why quality photography specific to your business is important. Stock photos can lower conversion. Stock photos lack the authenticity. If you're not building those relationships, you're not getting that recognizability within the community. They can be bought by anyone, which sometimes run into that awkwardness where someone in your competitive market is also using the same image, and it generates confusion, who's who, you know, things like that. Yeah, be careful of using the same. We've all seen the customer service person with the headset on over and over and over. So it just doesn't really help you push your business. And people like to look at people if they think they're real. Again, keeps the eyes on your marketing material longer if you do that. And finally, stock photos conceal your value proposition. You are probably doing something that sets you apart from your competition. Stock photos generally don't show that because by definition, stock is trying to show a generic situation. Sure, it can show an auto mechanic working on a car, but there's probably something within your shop, business, service that's different. You can use customized photography for you to reveal that and help show that value proposition.
Jeffrey, we have one comment on here. Stacy says, Stacy is a marketing person, and she very graciously says, die stock photography, die. I think that maybe she is in line with your thinking that maybe that's not the best avenue.
Thank you. I need to be friends with Stacy because I'm the same. Avoid stock photography just for those reasons, because it's, you put all that time and money into the crafting the text message. Don't skimp out on the image side. Use those images to get people drawn in, build those relationships. So I appreciate that.
I think people like to see pictures of themselves and of people they know as well. I know for us as event coordinators, we try to get real pictures of real people attending our events and having fun and that sort of thing for just that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think
Jeffrey, are there any rules or laws about taking pictures of people that we might need to know?
Yeah, so you can't take a picture of a person and necessarily use it commercially to act like they're selling their product. So without a model release for it. So if you are going to take a picture, you need a release in some situations, like events, things like that, that's on a public space and you're not really selling a product or a specific thing. If you're going to, you're selling the latest, greatest fruit drink and you take a picture of someone with it, and you don't have a model release, and then you put it in your advertising as this person is saying this drink is great, without a model release, that can get you in some trouble. So there is some nuances to when you need the model release and when you don't. A lot of the times, if you're trying to show off a customer, you would want to make sure you know what they're coming in for, get a model release from them to let them know you're going to use it in advertising.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's sort of why quality images matter. I'm happy to answer any questions on that before we move into how you can take better photos, because there are lots of ways there are some simple things you can do with your camera phone or point and shoot camera or DSLR to take your pictures a cut above what the normal person's taking. Okay, I will move forward then. So I've got 5 tips on how to take better photos. The most important one, and this is what photography is all about, is watch your lighting. Lighting is so key. If you can figure out how to control that light, you can make your products look better. You can make your storefront look better. You can make your, everything can look better with good lighting. And the key to that is pay attention to the direction of the light. I see a lot of times people will photograph somebody and they're standing in front of, say, like a sliding glass window, in front of a storefront window, shooting out into the sun. Camera has a really, really hard time in that situation at exposing the subject, whether it be an object sitting in front of the window, a person, has a really hard time exposing it correctly. So you generally don't want to shoot in that direction unless you've got equipment to do so, which you're usually not going to have with an iPhone or like a point and shoot camera. So what you want to do is you want to get, when you're indoors, you want to light from the side, which is sort of how this example image here is. They're in a window, but it's off to an angle. So the window light comes in and comes across them. So you can get a nice exposure and get some dramatic shadows. Or you want it in front of them. So a lot of times if you have the window behind them, just switch your orientation, have the person move so that as the photographer, the window is behind you and that light from the window is helping to light the subject. And again, the subject in this case can be a person, can be an object, can be a store, anything like that. So you want to watch out for that. Outdoors, everyone always goes, oh, it's a sunny day, it's a great day for photos. They're actually some of the hardest days to shoot in because the sun is very, very harsh if there's no clouds in the sky, and it causes weird shadows on the face, or super bright spots or super dark spots. So outdoors, in reality, cloudy days are awesome. And if it is super bright and shiny, open shade works well. What I mean by open shade is the shade of a building coming across so that your subject is in that shade to get the picture. You'll get a cleaner, more even lighting on that. And those are some key things to watch for with the lighting. If you keep that in mind, your pictures will automatically start to become better from there. You want to watch your background. Avoid distracting backgrounds. That can be clutter in the background, maybe a cluttered countertop with a pop can on it and some pens and pencils. You know, either you want to avoid that. You want to make sure people's attention stays on your subject. So if you're taking a picture and people get distracted by things in the room, distracted by things on the counter, a laundry basket over on the side, or, you know, anything like that, that just takes people's head shifts. So you want to watch for clutter, watch for things jutting out of people's heads. By that, I mean, if you're taking a picture of somebody and a telephone pole is like behind them and coming out of the head, that can be distracting. Your brain sees that and it hesitates and it senses something is wrong. That can be like if you're inside a building, maybe a warehouse, and there's a support pole, make sure you're taking that picture so that support pole is not coming through that person's head. And it also means things horizontally, cutting through a person's head. That could be a railing, you know, if someone's seated and there's a railing in the background, you want to avoid that. The way you fix that, a couple things. You can change your angle. So usually if you either stand up a little higher or squat down a little lower, you'll be able to shift that angle. Or in the case of something vertically through your head, move to the left or to the right, and you can shift it so that thing isn't sticking out of their head anymore. In regards to the clutter, obviously, you know, if you notice stuff in the background, pick up that pop can, throw it away, put the water bottle away, relocate if you need to. If it's just like a crazy spot, whether it's just, you know, we just need to get this picture done, consider relocating. But keep an eye when you take a picture, take a moment, not only to make sure your subject's well lit, but what do you see in the background? Get close. See this a lot. People will take a picture and people are too far away from what they want. So you're trying to show off something. And again, this could be a product, it could be a person, and they stand too far back. So you've got your person in there, but now you've got all this other stuff in there. So fill the frame with your subject. In this case, it's a potter's wheel, man's hands on potter's wheel, trying to show off the work on the clay. I could have pulled back and shot the whole thing. You would have seen electric cords in the background. You would have seen, you know, bags of clay mix, things like that. you know, in this sort of cluttered workshop. But by coming in, we're able to pull the attention to what you want them on. So fill the frame with your subject, helps solve that background clutter problem. It's another way to solve that. Helps your viewer know what to focus on. If you take a poll back of a room, viewer can lose track of what they're trying to focus on. Should I be looking at that or this or what? If you're close to them, you know exactly what they want. I put a little hint on here. Try to avoid using pinch to zoom on your phone. So whether you're an iPhone or Android phone, when you get on the screen and you zoom in with it, it sort of impacts the image quality. So use your feet to zoom. There's a saying with photographers is zoom with your feet. So you can use the little button to get the 1x zoom or the 2x zoom on your thing, because that's using an actual lens to do it. But if you start pinching to zoom, instead either physically move closer to your subject or to get that picture. It helps keep the image quality up and not distort the image. But yeah, make sure you fill your frame with your subject. Get on your subject's level. This is a good one. It's real easy just to pick up your phone, take a picture while you're standing, and because that's what you do every day. But people see that every day. If you change your level, change how you're positioned, you'll get something a little more interesting. Don't photograph everything from a standing position. Crouch down. Think of it as try to emulate a child's perspective. It's something we don't see every day as adults anymore because we're, 5.5 foot and taller in a lot of cases. So if you crouch down, and again, this applies to product photography too. So those honey shots earlier, those were on a table. If I shot that from up high, standing, that wouldn't have looked as good as getting down on its level to do that. So, like I said, what I find handy is think like a child. How does the child see it? And it brings some interest to your images, makes them stick out because it's not the angle and perspective you see every day as an adult walking around town. Again, it just reinforces that interest. So crouch down on their level. And finally, capture emotion. This can be a tough one. No one likes to pose for pictures. Photographers, the least of it. That's why we're on our side of the camera. But try to minimize prompting when you're trying to get a subject in there. Anticipate the peak moment of emotion. So when you're watching people, and it takes a little bit of patience, but as you're watching people, see how they're talking, how they move, how they react, and try to catch that peak smile. And like I said, just be patient. If you're shooting people, photographing people, getting genuine emotion is challenging, but it'll help your images look just a little better. So it's worth being patient to try to get that. Just a quick recap. We'll see if there's any questions on what I've covered. Watch your lighting. It's super important. You don't want people backlit. Try to get the light coming in across the side of them or towards the front of them. Watch your background. Make sure, clean it up. Come in closer so you can get things out of the background. Change your angle so you can shift any kind of distracting element. Sometimes a half step to the left or right will totally clean your image up. Get close. Fill the frame with your subject. Again, subject can be a person, can be an object, but get close, fill the frame, make sure your viewer knows what they want to see or what you want them to see. Get on your subject's level. It adds interest to your image, gives people a slightly different perspective to make them pause just a moment and hopefully continue reading your text to help convert them. And capture emotion. If you're photographing people, try to get that genuine emotion. That's difficult. It takes a little bit, be patient, but it pays off because people can sense when it's a forced smile and when it's an actual smile. So any questions on those 5 tips to take better pictures with your own phone?
If you hit *6 on your phone, you can unmute yourself for just a second if you have a question, or you can put it in the chat box at the bottom of the screen. Stacy, you are unmuted, or you were. Did you have a question?
Yes, I've even turned myself on.
Hi, Stacy.
Hey. So I've never heard Zoom with your feet. And so I just want to say, that's an awesome tip because I'm totally guilty of Zooming with pinching. So
yeah, Yeah,
Thank you.
it'll change it because the pinch, it switches it to a digital zoom instead of an optical zoom. So optical zoom is using the actual lenses on the camera. With a pinch, it switches it into digital zoom, so it's artificially zooming in, which you lose quality from the picture. So if you zoom with your feet, you can, like on my iPhone, I try to put it on 2x if I want a close picture, and if it's still too far away, I zoom with my feet, walk closer. So it really helps get you a crisper image.
Yes, that's perfect. That's great actionable advice. Thank you.
Good, good. Glad it's helpful. Thank you. Okay. I'll move into video calls, how to make your video calls a little more successful from the viewing situation. Obviously today, with everything going on in current state, everyone is doing more video calls, whether it be one-on-one, whether it be sessions like this. People are using Skype, Zoom, Blue Jeans, Uber Conference. I mean, it's everywhere. I've probably used 5 different video platforms in the past 2 months through various things. So these are just gonna be a couple tips on how to make these calls look a little better, seem a little better image. And there's a lot of similarity between good photos and good video. So some of the tips I've already presented are going to apply to video. The big difference is with video, a lot of times you control the spot. So like right now I'm set up in a spot that it's pretty much my go-to spot when I'm filming, or doing video calls or video conferences, just because it's lit the way I want. My background's reasonably uncluttered, but it just makes it easy, so I don't always have to be cleaning or trying to figure out where I'm at and everything like that. So what do you think is most important with a video call? Anyone?
I would guess knowing when you're muted or not muted.
that is a good one. Yeah, that is a good one. It's definitely right up there. But light, just like with photos, light is so important. I see so many video calls where people are backlit and you can barely see their face, or they're in a super dark room, or anything like that. And it's tempting to just sit down at the kitchen table with the sliding glass or French doors behind you, because you can see great, but that video camera coming back in has a terrible time. So lighting is super important. And I do recommend trying to find a spot in your house or office that you can sort of get. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but any improvement is a good improvement. So light from the front. My video right now, I have a north-facing window that's coming in at me, and that just gives a very nice light coming in. If I turned my desk around and had the window behind me, it'd be terrible. My face would be muddy, it'd be dark, it'd be in shadows, there'd be this big bright spot in the background, because the camera has a really hard time dealing with both the person and the window light. The difference in light is just so big. So ways to do that: north-facing window is awesome. If you can find a place in your house or office as a north-facing window, it very rarely gets direct sunlight. It's typically diffused. So it's a really good spot. If you don't have a north-facing window, a lamp with a shade can work. Just make sure it's in front of you, not behind you, not above you way high. So a lamp with shade, it'll diffuse the light, make it a little softer, and get it coming in front. And this is another good one. A lot of times you'll see people are orange, yellow in their pictures and their video calls. Try to use daylight balanced bulbs if you can. You can go to the store. There's usually soft white, and daylight. Daylight will put the temperature of the light in a way that looks more natural. So if you can, try to find daylight balanced bulbs. Again, you don't have to go replace every bulb in your house if you're not into that shade of light. But if you've got sort of a go-to place in your home office, your place of work, it'll help you have consistent look in your video. Camera angle, don't look down at your camera if you can. See, a lot of people, they'll put their laptop down on a table, they're up above it and they look down, and it's not a flattering look. It causes some unusual shadows. A lot of people use laptop cameras. I'm using a laptop camera now. So what I have, I actually have my laptop elevated up, so I'm not looking down at it. I'm able to look more straight at it. I have a little stand for it, but you could put it on a couple books, a box, whatever, but get that camera angle up. If you look like, my trick is if you can see the ceiling in your picture behind your head, your camera's probably too low. You want to get it up. You could, if you're on a phone using it, you could do a small tripod on your phone to get it up, or a webcam that could sit on top of your monitor if either your laptop camera is terrible or if you just don't want to balance your laptop, you could potentially get a external webcam that you could put a little higher to get that better look. Background is important for video too. You want to minimize distractions. Some things in the background for a little bit of interest are okay, but you don't want something that's unusual, like where people are going the whole video call, like, what is that thing in the background? Because they get distracted and they're not listening to you anymore. Laundry, trash cans, beds, clutter in the room, things like that. If you can get that cleaned up, minimize that, get a nice clean background, and that'll help. Audio. With video, and this goes for whether it's a Zoom call, a one-on-one call, conference call, or even if you're just doing video for social media to get your message out there. Audio is so important. It's almost more important than video, especially because if the sound is terrible, people stop listening. So sound is important. Consider a dedicated mic if you do a lot of video calls. A headset maybe. Some laptop mics are okay, some aren't. Sort of do some test calls with your platform of choice. You can sort of figure it out. And if you're going to be doing a lot of them, you may need to get, a nice external mic to plug into your laptop or computer to do, because audio is important with your thing. And don't be muted, right, Sean? And last, right? I can't tell how many calls it's been silent for 30 seconds. And so, oh, I was muted. So.
Right.
And then finally, bandwidth. If you're going to be doing this for a long period of time, and especially if you're interacting with customers and clients and things like that, it might be time to upgrade your bandwidth. It's important to have enough bandwidth to do this. Temporary situations when you only have to do it occasionally, if things stutter a little bit, okay, but with as much importance video conferencing, meeting with your clients, customers has become, you might need to update your home internet speed. Quality video takes a good amount of internet speed to do. Most people within the suburbs can easily get a package that's affordable and will get you the bandwidth to have a non-stuttering, good quality audio call. So don't underestimate the importance of that, especially if you're going to be doing it for an extended period of time. And that's what I've got on video. That's my whole thing. Like I said, I hope folks enjoyed it. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. If there's any questions afterwards, my email address is up there. My website is jeffreytadlockphotography.com. I'm happy to answer questions, tips, questions. Shoot me an image you took and say, how can I make this better? I'm happy to provide a little critique, anything like that. Like I said, happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Well, that was really great, Jeffrey. That was, you kind of dumbed it down for the rest of us and made it pretty simple. I appreciate that. I was thinking of one quick question, and I guess maybe this is a little, at this point, maybe old school, but what about those selfie sticks that you can, kind of see yourself from a distance? How good are those?
So there's selfie sticks, which can be cool, especially if you're trying to do video for social media marketing, which, like I mentioned earlier, I know that one slide said imagery and text is important, but that was 2018, and I'm convinced video on social media is quickly becoming extremely important. I think a selfie stick can work well for that. It gets what it does is, instead of, when you hold your phone in your hand, it's pretty evident that someone's just holding it in their hand. The selfie stick gives you that extra bit of distance, which I do think improves it and can be worth it. There's also gimbals, which is more expensive, which gives you very steady video. It's a motorized device that you put your phone in or camera in, and you can hold it out, and it lets you walk and talk without all the motion. But I do think a selfie stick, if you're going to be doing a lot of, as much as they get mocked and everything like that, if you're going to do a lot of video, especially recording yourself while you're not using a tripod or something like that, it gets the camera away and gives it a slightly more real look. So I think there is value in a selfie stick.
Okay, I did not what I expected you to say.
I've done some video courses on doing better video for social media, and it's one of those recommendations that does come up, and you can tell a difference from when you record holding the phone at an arm's length versus being able to do a selfie stick. It just changes the angle of the one shoulder just enough to, I think it gives it a slightly cleaner look. It's not a requirement. Don't not do video because you don't have a selfie stick. You're not always going to have it with you, but if you're doing it a lot, I think there's potential for it to make your video look a little bit better.
Perfect. Well, that was really a great presentation. And as I said in the beginning, all of our Zoominars, that's what I decided I'm going to call these, are recorded. And except for the ones that I forgot to hit the record button on. And those are on our YouTube page, and you can get to that either directly through YouTube or through any of our social media pages or our website. Jeffrey, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We appreciate it. You do a great, great job for our community, and I know for the Chamber, we appreciate what you've done for us very, very much. And so thank you for that. Thank you guys for participating. If you have any interest, I know Stacy and a couple of our other marketing folks are going to be kind of banding together here before too long to do another Zoominar kind of dedicated to marketing and things like that. So there's lots to look forward to. So thank you all very much, and have a safe and wonderful rest of your day.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.